I made 5 videos showcasing 505 problems the GTA Definitive Trilogy has. After a massive update, I revisited the first video and it turns out that 33 of the problems were fixed. It's time for video number 2. How many of the 101 problems in here were fixed? 38. I'll now show you how the problem looked before and how they were fixed. If you wanna see the remaining problems, go watch the first original video. Okay, let's go. Starting from 102, previously the San Fierro station was inaccessible via a vehicle since there was an invisible barrier. On top of that, the door seemed to remain closed, but it was actually not. Well, now one of the issues was fixed. While the gate is still weird, at least you can enter a place because there's no invisible barricade. If you manage to glitch yourself to the second island before unlocking it and drive to the lift bridge, you'll see how the bridge appears to be down, but actually it's not and you fall through, resulting in a death. Now in the newest update the bridge is properly displayed. You clearly know you can't drive forward, because this will happen. The weirdest water formation here in the countryside could make CJ float in the air. Part of the liquid was missing, but it was here in spirit. While now the liquid was turned into piss, it's at least proper and CJ doesn't float anymore. In the OG, Too Damn Hot and Pleasantly Warm were two different cheats, giving you different weather effects. In the initial defective edition, both cheats did the same thing. In the newest update they again are different, and while Too Damn Hot does not give you the same heat waves from the original, at least the cheats have different functions. After certain missions, the barriers blocking your entry to the Callahan Bridge would sometimes be invisible. You could still crash into them even though you cannot see them. Well, here's me using the same save game as I did in the original video, same money, same stuff on the map, amount of bullets and whatnot, and the barricades are actually visible. I reloaded a few times just to make sure, and no, not a single time did they disappear. Awesome! In the very center of the San Andreas map at nighttime, you'll see a blinking red light. I guess it's a placeholder signifying to the devs where the exact center is. Well, this placeholder is not here anymore, it's gone, so this random red light you'll never see again. With certain cars, driving at top speed would make them sound weird. Some even sound like trucks. Others just brake. I tried it with a few different cars and they all sounded proper at top speed. In GTA 3 and Vice City, entering a vehicle was a hassle. You simply could not do it while sprinting. Your input would just not work. You had to stop sprinting, press the enter vehicle button, and then you could get in. Now this useless exercise is gone and you don't have to waste time stopping your character in place before you enter a vehicle. In the Las Venturas Stadium event called Dirt Track, a lot of the terrain you could sink into. This happened more than 5 times each lap. Well, now every single part of the whole racetrack is properly textured and you won't sink into it. The short-sideway garages in GTA 3 had a random opening order. You could not tell which part would open, so a car you parked could be stuck for a while. Well, now every single door opens up. I prefer how it was in the OG, where one was just always closed, but still, this is a fix. On PC, some arcade games you simply could not play because the keyboard controls did not work. Well, this was fixed. You can use a keyboard, but it was also improved since the little stick in the arcade game also moves with your button inputs. Next to the lighthouse in Vice City you could find a bush which contained a hidden caddy. This mystery was completely ruined in the defective edition since the bush was missing. It was the whole point of this spawn, for you to stumble upon it at random. Well, now the bush is back, the caddy is still here, and I'm a very happy boy. 2 female NPCs in Staten Island used to carry bags in a very weird way. They held them forward and the bags did not obey gravity. The same NPCs are now fixed and they hold them properly. Missions like Beat Down on Beat Up had a massive increase in difficulty where in a single second you could die. It was instant. Well, now the super mega giga AI accuracy is fixed. Enemies are not ultra accurate for no reason anymore. Dare I say, it's even better balanced than it is in the OG. At certain parts you could see the ocean floor and it looked like you could actually step into the water since it felt very shallow. So try it out, you step in and you die. Now the transparency is removed almost completely and you won't make this mistake again. Alright, at this point I am absolutely convinced that whoever worked on this last patch watches my videos. There's no other moron in the entire planet who would come here to this mountain searching for problems. Well, I did in a stream and found this floating tree. The same tree was found before in the OG. Well, the devs actually did something about it and I have no idea why. Their fix was to remove the tree, sure, but hey, it's not floating anymore. I'm just baffled at how this non-important issue was addressed. But flight controls in the Hydra are still broken beyond belief. Weird. I don't get it. Speaking of weird, look at this. Before, when playing at a high frame rate, after completing a stun jump, your camera would freeze and would not reset until you limit your frame rate. Well, this issue was fixed, it will no longer freeze, but a new issue arises and yeah, you can see it right now. What the hell is even going on? I've never seen this in any version, no matter your frame rate. Still a fix though, it's on my list. While flying in the stunt plane or the crop duster, you could activate your fart dust. This dust was barely noticeable. Well, now this is fixed and it looks a lot more like it did in the original game. Jumping to 147, these fences previously had incorrect collision boxes. You could crash into air, you could drive through some of them and so on. Well, now every single fence here has a proper collision and you won't crash unless you are an incompetent driver. No matter where you are, you could not find birds. Well, now they're back. They appear to be way more transparent than they did in the OG game, but at least we have some wildlife again. During the Black Project mission you could see a floating bottle on top of this grate you are supposed to go through. This bottle should be invisible. Well, it's again invisible in the newest patch. Unfortunately, some rocks are still floating here, but the bottle is gone and that's great. Bubbles coming out of CJ's mouth while underwater got removed in the defective. The wavy effect was also only visible at a distance. Now you can see the bubbles and it also really feels like CJ is underwater since the wavy effect is a lot more visible. If the lift bridge leading to Shoresidevale was closed, you could see this weird grey texture right in front of the barriers. Cars used to sink into it. The grey texture is now gone and all is well. Here's a half fix again. These light poles had a collision box extended way too high into the air. Well, now this is gone, but so is the proper collision. You can walk into them, but hey, at least the high collision is gone now and I guess that's a plus. If you tried hunting for all 100 packages before unlocking the last island and tried getting onto the lift bridge, you see how the bridge was broken and you could land on nothing. Well, now you land on ground you can actually see. In boat school, in the previews of this test in particular, you'll see how the hovercraft goes through solid ground. This does not happen anymore. As you'll see, CJ is driving on land. If you switch to a different preview and go back, you'll see a similar thing happening, but this is only because this terrain has not loaded yet. Previously the texture was set way too high, now it's fixed. The Sprunk logo in the countryside used to be static. Well, now it spins around just like it did in the OG. Right next to the port and safe house you used to sink into the grass. Well, this doesn't happen anymore, it has a proper model. The Shakedown mission in Vice City got a massive and unneeded nerf. You had to only destroy 10 windows, which took no time at all. Well, now it's back to its original objective where you gotta destroy every single window. We are no longer treated as babies. This shack used to be inaccessible before, you could not shimmy in. Well, congratulations CJ, you're no longer fat and you can check the contents inside a shack. In GTA 3 the flame of the flamethrower would not go upwards even if you look in that direction. Well, here's me doing it in the newest patch and as you can see it is fixed. The luminosity of this motel in Los Santos was way too bright, it stood out way too much. The whole area has now proper lighting and it blends in perfectly. We had two problems in this tunnel. Firstly, CJ could sink into the top of it, and secondly, none of these fences actually existed since you could just drive through them. Well, now all fences are fixed and have proper collision, and also the top of the bridge is modeled properly. Awesome! This part of the airport was hella weird, you could just drive in the air above the slanted part. Well, not anymore, it works as it's supposed to. There was an invisible shack here next to the big blob in Las Venturas. This same shack is now visible and you can climb it. One big pet peeve I had is this stupid invisible fence. It was invisible and it still blocked your movement. The fence now changed texture, but most importantly you can actually see it. Getting the helicopter will no longer be a hassle. Right before you start the construction, you could find a massive hole here. You could even walk on top of it. What the hell? After the mission the construction is complete, the hole disappears. Well, now no matter when you visit the hole, it will be covered up. Sure, you can see the borders of it, and that's a downgrade from the OG, but at least there's no fake hole anymore. And last fix involved two cutscenes, Supply and Demand and Drive By. In both cutscenes the characters held some guns the incorrect way. Well, now both Diaz and Smoke grip the guns normally. Whoa guys, I'm actually impressed. Going in I expected a max of 20 fixes, but we got 38. Out of 101, 38 doesn't seem like that many, but it's a step in the right direction and I'm grateful that the effort was put in. Next up I'll look at the third video and see how many of those were fixed as well. Subscribe so you don't miss it, thank you for watching, and a special thank you to Olavri, Karen, Case Nice, Shan, Pasca, Faith, Monish, Prip, Hirsash, Tishinte, Bad Boy Hero, Jebediah, Redux, Versetti, Gwen, Jim Francescos and everybody else.